Alright guys, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this beast of an air gun. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to need is about a 2-inch wide board by maybe 12 inches. You can usually pick these up at most lumber yards. Then you need to draw out the gun stock shape that you want. Time to cut it out! Alright, so once you've done as much as you possibly can with your handmade beautiful axe, the two tools that are going to be your best friend is a draw knife and a wood rasp. Also, please remember that this is a three-dimensional shape. So, I just wanted to show you guys kind of the revolution of how my stocks look. So we're here on the bottom of the gun, and we're starting to make the trigger mechanism. So all of this blue wood has to go. And then I just used a chisel, and I took out all the excess and made it nice and clean inside. Alright guys, so here I have about a 5-inch long or 4-inch long piece of 1/2-inch PVC and about a 3-inch long 1/2-inch diameter steel rod. On the PVC, I've squared it off just using my belt sander so that it fits perfectly into this notch. The next thing we're going to do is make a notch on the side. So now here we are on our metal piece, and I'm just going to drill a hole. Now I've just made this little wooden piece. Fits into the hole. So now on the side of the gun, we're just making another notch. Okay guys, so here you can see I made a metal trigger. Just cut this out with my angle grinder. Now it's time to drill the hole for the trigger. So to do that, I'm going to place the trigger on top of the gun, right where I want it to sit when it's inside of the gun, and I'm just going to drill. Alright, so here we're on our PVC, and you can see just on the bottom, I drew a nice self-portrait of myself, and I carved a notch. Now it's very, very important that our trigger piece easily slides in and out of this notch. So now, as you can see here, I'm just going to be cutting out a notch in this pin using my belt sander. Alright guys, so we're ready to assemble this. So all you gotta do is take a spring, slide it in there. I put a little pin in the end so the spring doesn't pop out. Then take your metal rod, slide it in, then take your handle, put it in the hole. Now, this is all of course upside down, but the trigger latches onto that notch, Alright, so you can see here I've got it all assembled in the gun. So, all you do is you pull back on your handle, and then when you pull the trigger, it fires. So here you can see on that cut I accidentally made in my sleep, we're gonna just drill a hole. And then just enlarge the hole with a hole saw. Alright, so you can see here, the epoxy's dry, and I've just glued on a piece of maple on top of the locust. Alright guys, so now we come to one of the longest parts building this gun, which is hand sanding. Alright, so here's a final look at the stock before the final fit up. Alright, so before we put the barrel on, the one final thing we need to do is put this little copper piece I made out of a tube, copper tube, into this hole. Alright, so you can see here that I just put in the trigger mechanism and put a block of wood over to cover it. I also added these brass plates just for looks, and a few magnets. Stick a little better. So you finally completed your air rifle. Now, I do have one disclaimer to make, which is that this is actually a new valve and tank from the one that you saw in the last video. Now, that is only because this tank exploded because I pumped it up to 150 psi. So if you stay below 100 psi, you should be fine. However, on this tank, I don't know if you can see, but I added some steel pins going through the tank so that this tank is now rated for much higher psi. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this two-part series on how to build this air rifle. If you don't want to miss the next video, which is me shooting this air rifle, then please subscribe. Alright guys, see you on the next one. Bye. Right, as far as accuracy goes, I don't know if you can see that hand, but we're about to suck it from way downtown.